We got day one of mandatory minicamp, a lot to discuss, some injuries and some updated Vegas odds on a Tuesday. Locked on Lions.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's happening, everybody? Matt Dery with you. It is a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, a Tuesday, June 6th and a Wednesday, June 7th. Mandatory minicamp is underway in Allen Park. Everybody is there. Not everybody is practicing or suited up. We'll tell you the guys that are sitting out due to injury coming up in a little bit here on the show. Also, we got to get into some updated Vegas odds on the NFC North. Vegas still thinks our Detroit Lions are the favorites to win the division. Positives and negatives from today, and I have a Jameson Williams comment I'd like to make. All of that today here on Locked On Lions. Thanks for making us your first listen. Checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Lions today is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of the NFL. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. You can follow us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, at Locked On Lions, the Matt Dery Facebook fan page, and also thank you for subscribing and watching us for free on the Locked On Lions YouTube channel. A shout out to our everydayers, those of you that listen and watch each and every day, right here on Locked On Lions, the Bill Willinghams of the world, Jay Roxbury, Rod Denton, Reese Robinson, those of you following us on the Facebook page, thank you for checking us out each and every day. All right. Locked On Lions YouTube channel commenters. This is for you. All right? Matt Dery speaking to you today. Don't worry. I'm done talking about Jameson Williams and gambling. That's it. It's obvious y'all don't want to hear me talk about it anymore, so I'm putting it away. Yesterday we brought it up. We brought up the article from theathletic.com. We had Ben Raven on from MLive.com discussing the JMO situation. We didn't spend that much time on it, I didn't think, but it appears that many Lions fans and many of you commenters on the Locked On Lions YouTube channel have had enough of me pontificating about Jameson Williams and gambling. So, from here on out, I'm done. No more talk about Jameson Williams' 6-game gambling suspension. All right? I'll be done with it. He was on the field today. He had some good moments, some bad moments. And that's really all you guys care about. Here's the bottom line, though. Starting in week 1, when the Lions go to Kansas City to play the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champions, the Lions' big weapon at receiver, the guy that they drafted in the first round 2 years ago, will not be out there. And that was his choice. And that's it. I'm done. All right? I'm not bringing it up from here on out. All right? I promise it will not be brought up again. As far as mandatory minicamp, we'll get into some positives and some negatives coming up momentarily. Some interesting developments when it comes to injuries. Now, the Lions, because it's minicamp and because it's June 6th, don't have to divulge injuries. They don't really have to talk about or put on paper any kind of injury report until we get to the regular season. Dan Campbell was asked before practice today, because they practiced this afternoon. He was asked this morning about injuries, and he said, about 20 guys are not going to practice. Turns out it was not that many, but here's some notable names. Number one, they are taking it very, very slow with Hendon Hooker as he comes back from that torn ACL. So you're not going to see him anytime soon. Also not practicing, as we knew, Levi Onwuzurike. We had Ben on yesterday, Ben Raven talking about it a little bit, and Ben says there's a chance you may never see Levi Onwuzurike in a Lions uniform on the field again. Still has the back problems. He was not practicing today. David Montgomery has a lower body injury. This is almost like some Scotty Bowman late 90s Red Wings territory here. Lower body injury for David Montgomery. But the good news is that with David Montgomery not taking part in mandatory minicamp, which, look, we want to see the running back, big signing in the offseason, $6 million a year, plucked him away from the Chicago Bears, the soon-to-be Super Bowl champion Chicago Bears, according to some people on social media. I digress. David Montgomery, lower body injury, not practicing, which means more of Jahmyr Gibbs, which is fine by me. I want to see what the rookie can do. James Mitchell, the tight end, also didn't practice. Malcolm Rodriguez, not out there for practice today, also dealing with a lower body injury. And the big one is Frank Ragnow, who did not practice today. What's interesting about the Ragnow situation is that Ross Pierschbacher, who was signed last year, practice squad guy, kind of a fill-in, he's been taking the first team reps at center, not Graham Glasgow. Now, if you recall, Evan Brown's really been the backup center for the last few years when Frank Ragnow hasn't played. And Evan Brown is a really solid center. He's going to get an opportunity to start out in Seattle with the Seahawks after signing a one-year deal with them. But Ross Pierschbacher is currently your second string center with Frank Ragnow out. The more I think about it, look, we all know what Frank Ragnow is. He's a mauler. He's a road grader. He's a great player. It's mandatory minicamp. Not the end of the world if guys are missing something in June. Let's get them ready for August and September and the season. But Frank Ragnow, you could argue, is the most valuable player on the Lions. He's just so good. He sees everything from that center position. He's a Pro Bowler. He's kind of the anchor of that offensive line. Look, Penei Sewell is very, very good. We talked about best players on the Lions a couple of weeks ago, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, and Penei Sewell, according to Pro Football Focus, got the nod over Ragnow. But I just think Frank Ragnow is really, really good. So those are the players that are sitting out due to injury. The good news is it's only 10 guys, really. You know, there were some other names, but those are the biggest names of the players not participating. As Ben mentioned yesterday from MLive on the show, Tracy Walker's limited, Halapoulivaati Vaitai's limited, John Kaminsky's limited, but they're out there. They're just not participating in everything. But again, the good thing about this mandatory minicamp and the good thing about this entire situation is that there's depth. There's organizational depth for the first time in a long time. You know, if you're a watcher of the local baseball team in town, they have no depth. And they've had no depth for a decade. You know, Riley Green gets injured, and now the team's scored like 9 runs over its last 44 some odd innings or whatever it is. They need Riley Green. He is a broken leg or whatever it is, and so now the offense blows. It's terrible. The Lions can ill afford to lose a Ragnow or an Amon-Ra or anybody like that. But there is some depth there where in years past there just wasn't. The Lions suffered any kind of injuries, and they had a handful of them 2 years ago when they only won 3 games. There was no depth at all. Now there is. So that is pretty cool when you talk about this team. All right, thumbs up, thumbs down on a few performers today from the first day of mandatory minicamp. We'll also get you some Vegas odds updates. We'll do that coming up next as well. I've got to click the button here and tell you about our friends at FanDuel. NBA Finals heating up. Heat and Nuggets. I thought they're playing tonight. They're not. They're playing tomorrow for Game 3. It's like Wednesday, Friday. I think it was Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. A lot of days in between. But if you want to bet on the NBA Finals, you're getting into this stuff, want to put some money down on the Tigers and Phillies, do so at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Yes, I mentioned that Jamison Williams, not allowed to say it anymore. FanDuel, giving new customers no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and sign up today to claim your no sweat first bet. Look, their app is the best. If you like gambling on games, there's nothing better than FanDuel. I was talking to my good friend Tim Morabito the other day. He's a FanDuel guy. FanDuel is great. An app that is safe, secure, super easy to use. And again, get that no sweat first bet by going to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Hope everybody's having a nice Tuesday. sunny skies. It's like been sunny for like 10 straight days here. It's been great. Good weather for Lions mandatory minicamp down in Allen Park. So I buzzed a couple of my insider peeps today. My CWPFs, as Rob Parker used to say, close, warm, personal friends. And I asked about, hey, who looked good today? How was minicamp? I was not able to get down there because of the 9 to 5 gig. And the first name that came up today was Christian Covington, the newly signed defensive tackle, who, of course, was a free agent after playing with the Chargers the last couple of years. Christian Covington is getting first-team reps at D tackle alongside Aleem McNeil. Isaiah Buggs repping with the second team. Christian Covington is a guy that is definitely intriguing because the Lions definitely needed to add some depth and experience along that interior of their D-line. They, of course, drafted Broderick Martin. They've got a lot of interchangeable parts in terms of players that could slide inside if need be, like Kaminsky, and others. Onwuzurike is not practicing. Aleem McNeil is trimmed down. He's not this big body anymore. Still big, but not as big as he was. And Christian Covington right now is getting some good run, and the Lions coaching staff seems to like him. So keep an eye out for him. He's getting first-team reps right now at interior defensive line, at D-tackle, alongside Aleem McNeil. Isaiah Buggs repping with the second team. I like what Buggs did last year. Really did. I was glad the Lions brought him back. But I always think the Lions could upgrade at that position. I thought there was a chance the Lions were going to draft higher a defensive tackle. Remember, we talked about Steve Avila from TCU being that offensive guard that I thought could be a second or second round selection for the Lions. The kid out of Wisconsin, whose name escapes me, I thought could be a guy that the Lions were going to draft as an interior lineman. He's on the defensive side. Avila, of course, on the offensive side. But the Lions elected to take Broderick Martin higher than people expected them to grab him in the third or fourth round. And he's a big body too. But right now they like Christian Covington, so keep an eye on him. Riley Patterson apparently made a comeback today and outkicked J.P. Romo. Patterson made 4 out of his 5 field goals. John Parker Romo made 3 out of 5. Again, no sign of Michael Badgley kicking as of yet. But today was a better day for Riley Patterson than last week during OTAs. The secondary shining today, led by Cam Sutton. Observers have said that the Lions secondary is much improved. And then in situational football today, in a mandatory minicamp setting, again, no pads, but guys like Cam Sutton and others are making plays on the back end. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the communication, the trash talk, Jerry Jacobs. Secondary got a thumbs up today, as did Sam Laporta, who continues to impress at tight end, made a leaping catch for a touchdown today on a feed from Jared Goff. So that is good news. Laporta could be a guy that by the end of the 5, 6, 7 weeks, we could be saying, man, how did the Lions steal him in the second round? And I know it's only mini camps. Again, they're not in pads. But Laporta, number 87, has been impressive so far. And Shane Zylstra got hurt. James Mitchell wasn't practicing. Brock Wright, we know his limitations. Good, solid blocker. Snuck out in that Jets game and made the run after the catch. But Laporta is dynamic and is a guy that so far has really impressed the coaches and was good. As far as some of the thumbs down situations, I didn't get a lot of negative from my people, but I was told that Nate Sudfeld was not good today. Lions backup. Look, if that's our biggest problem, talking about the Lions backup quarterback spot, fine. Because Jared Goff has been healthy for the most part his first 2 years in Detroit. But Nate Sudfeld, where's the text I got? Wobbly throws. And right now, the Lions, of course, have Hendon Hooker, Adrian Martinez. Yes, he of like the 7 years in college. Where was he? Nebraska, Kansas State. He seemed to do the Midwest tour. But Nate Sudfeld, supposedly not a great day today with some wobbly throws. But all in all, a lot of positives, especially improvement in that secondary. And with the depth that all of a sudden that we're seeing at linebacker, a lot of guys repping in and out at defensive end, the Lions all of a sudden have a pulse on defense. And now it is up to Aaron Glenn and that staff to kind of carry it through to the season. First 2 years of this regime, we've seen this defense give up a lot of yardage and a lot of points. Got better toward the end of last year with guys like Aiden Hutchinson stepping up and others. But more positives than negatives from what I was told today down in Allen Park. And that is always a good thing. Again, a couple more days of mandatory minicamp. We'll see if some other guys get on the field. We'll see a little bit more 7-on-7 the next couple of days. But so far, positive reviews, especially with the secondary down at minicamp. All right. Vegas odds updated on the Lions' chances to win the NFC North. We'll do that coming up next right here on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions. All right, so for many of you, it's almost like a dream. It's almost like, wake me up, what is going on? The Detroit Lions are continuously getting great publicity and pub. That's the same thing. Great ink and publicity heading into this season. Updated NFC North odds from our friends at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network, look like this. As far as the division winners, the favorites, let's go in reverse order. The Chicago Bears odds to win the division are fourth worst at plus 420. Green Bay Packers then come in at plus 350, of course, with Jordan Love. I agree with what Ben Raven said yesterday, right here on Locked On Lions, that the Packer defense is still going to be good. There's still a decent roster there of players. And if Love is just absolutely horrible, yes, they'll be bad. But was Aaron Rodgers really that good last year? Minnesota Vikings come in next at plus 270. So you got Bears plus 420, Packers plus 350, Minnesota plus 270, and then the favorites, according to FanDuel, to win the NFC North, yes, your Detroit Lions at plus 145. Best odds we've seen, BetMGM has them at plus 140, Caesars Sportsbook plus 120, PointsBet plus 120. And pretty much across the board, it is Lions, Vikings, Packers, Bears to finish in that order if you're going by best NFC North division winner odds. And again, I'll say this, all right? I was watching an interview that Mike Tirico from NBC Sports did with Brad Galley at Channel 7 yesterday that Brad posted on his social media down at the Rocket Mortgage Golf, whatever, tournament that's coming up. Tirico is kind of the voice of it, and Mike being a Michigan guy. But he said it. Everybody's coming up to him this offseason and asking him, are the Lions for real? You look at the schedule, all right? It's not that difficult, right? The Lions are playing, yes, they're playing the AFC West, all right? Those games will not be easy. All right, I was talking to a Raider fan today about that Raider game. That's not going to be an easy game. Las Vegas, if they have Garoppolo healthy, and they're not playing Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell, Las Vegas has a really good offense with Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow and good tight ends there with the rookie Michael Mayers also there. So those games might not be that easy. Obviously, playing Kansas City on the road is going to be the toughest game they play. Right? They got to play in Baltimore. I get it. But for the most part, the division is soft. The rest of the conference, not named San Francisco and Dallas, and I should say Philly and San Francisco. I'm not putting Dallas in that class yet. But they get the NFC South. They're going to get to play the Saints and the Bucks. Carolina, again, the Lions would love a little revenge from last year. But all in all, the schedule is there for this team to make a run. Do you remember last year at this time where we're going, man, those are going to be tough games in the swamp, in New Jersey, in the cold weather against the Giants and Jets. And oh my gosh, they've got to play this team and that team. And they had to play last year the AFC East. They had to go on the road to New England. They had to play a very good Miami team with a banged up secondary. You don't feel that right now. This team has, like I said, depth. They're confident in their quarterback. Dan Campbell said it today. Jared Goff is a much better quarterback in this system and with these coaches in Detroit than he was with the Rams. He wasn't taking a shot at the Rams. It's true. Goff is somebody that they can rely on. And you weren't sure about that going into last year. So I'm in agreement with FanDuel and Vegas. The Lions should win the division. The question is going to be, can they win a home playoff game? Can they do it? Can they take that next step of not only getting to the playoffs, but doing something they haven't done since 1993? Man, it would be amazing. But again, it's 1991, excuse me. Last home playoff game was 1993, and we know how that ended. All right, that'll do it for this Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions. More on minicamp, mandatory minicamp tomorrow, thanks to our everydayers, and thanks to you for making us your first listen each and every day right here on Locked On Lions.